Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. Isn't that cute? Isn't that cute? I wish I had videotaped in there. Howdy everyone, this is Tricia and welcome to my channel. This time I'm going to be offering you a 3-part basic floral design course. So today, Tuesday, and the next 2 Tuesdays following, I will be teaching you how to make some floral designs for your home. This is a basic beginner's course. I won't be using any professional terms. I have taught floral design, so I'm going to be using the same terms that I did when I was teaching classes at Michaels, because I did work for Michaels for a very long time. I was very successful, not only doing the floral arrangements as a floral designer, but I also did courses teaching many other things besides floral design. So I hope you enjoy this. Now, I want to first do an introduction to all of them. So you will be seeing the same introduction for all 3 videos. And again, if you've already seen this in the first video and you don't care to watch it in the second or the third, then skip right on over to the actual arrangement that I'll be teaching you for that day. All right, so I'm going to tell you what to keep in mind first. What you're going to keep in mind is your theme. Where do you want to place this arrangement? So if this is in your home, think about where in your home you're going to place it. Is this going to be something for the kitchen, something for your living room, something for your bedroom, maybe even in the bathroom or in your office? And what theme do you have decorated in that particular room? Maybe you want to add some fruit in there, some little veggies, things like that. If it's in the kitchen, maybe some seashells or things like that that are kind of nautical if you have that in your bathroom. So you want to keep those things in mind when you are creating your arrangement or when you are choosing the elements for your arrangement. And speaking of placement or where you're going to put it, that is the second thing to consider, is the perspective and the actual placement of the arrangement. Now I've already told you what room. Now, where in that room is this going to be placed? Is this going to be placed somewhere where it's going to be against the wall? Is it going to be in the center of the room somewhere? Is it going to be at a table where some of you are going to be sitting at and eating, and you want to be able to look over this arrangement? You never want to create an arrangement that is so tall that it's blocking you if you're all sitting around this table and you want to speak to each other. So that's something to consider. Also, you're going to be taking into account the texture. That is the texture of your flowers, which kind of goes into the theme of your flowers. So maybe you're looking for something country and you want to use some dry flowers. So dry flowers would be the texture of your flowers. Or maybe you'll be using silk flowers, or maybe some of you will go ahead and go into using actual fresh flowers. But that is a different treatment of the flowers. For now, we are going to be working with artificial or faux flowers. All right, so just keep that in mind. So there are different textures, so you need to decide what you're going to use. Now, there are cases where you can kind of mix the two, and I will at the end. I'm going to do a little mixing just so that you can see what I mean by that. The other thing you need to consider is going to be the shape of your arrangement. Now, as I said earlier, if you're going to place this at a table where people are talking to each other, you don't want something too large. So you may consider something round or maybe something horizontal, or what I like to call a swag arrangement. But we will go into that as the classes proceed. And then, of course, there is your size and proportion. Size is the overall size of the arrangement. Where is this going to go? Is this on a little desk in an office where you need something small? Or is this an arrangement that you want somewhere in your grand entry or your living room and you want something large? That is the size. The proportion is the size of the individual items in the arrangement, or whether I like to call the elements, which are your flowers, any fillers, your greenery, and things like that. Things should be a little bit proportioned, keep them a little bit natural looking. So those are the things that you will be considering. Now, the supplies that you also need to have on hand for these courses will be obviously a container, vase, whatever it is that you want to put your arrangement in. And I have one here, for example. I have a vase here just to show you. This is what I have chosen to start off with. Okay, you will be seeing this in my first course. So that is a vase. You can use just a regular glass vase. You can use a bucket if you want, a wooden box, a boot, whatever you find that you can actually put things inside and you are willing to let a little bit of hot glue go in there. Okay, so then you will need some styrofoam And I just have this, and I got this from a 6-pack of styrofoam from Hobby Lobby. You can get your styrofoam from wherever you want. And this is more of a condensed styrofoam, okay? So just so you'll know. If you're curious about an item called Oasis, Oasis is for fresh flowers. And like I said, we're going to be working with faux flowers. So we're not going to be using Oasis. Oasis is used to dip into water and absorb water so that then you can put fresh flowers into. And that is another course. And if you're interested, or class, if you're interested in that, I will be more than happy to show you how to prepare a fresh flower arrangement. All right, also, like any other craft that I like to do, I like to have my wire cutters, I like to have my scissors, I like to have some floral wire, as you can see here, or even some chenille stems, but really in floral arrangements, I use floral wire. And then with that, I also use greenery or green floral tape, not greenery, but green floral tape. Now, if you're working with white stems for whatever reason that you're creating something that has white, maybe you want to use a white tape, but I always use a green because I always work with green. All right. Also, in my floral arrangement, I sometimes, not always, but I also use wooden floral picks. And these have a little wire attached, as you can see. So that is something to consider. You will find these in different sizes. This is just a basic size. If you want to get a longer size, that's up to you. And you can just trim them. And sometimes you just find the wooden picks without the wire, which is fine because you can always use the wire that you already have, that I've already shown you. All right, another thing that you may need are these greenery pins or U pins. They're little metal pins and they're shaped in a U. Some people call them S pins. I always call them U pins or greenery pins. We're going to be using these in our arrangement to hold down moss, so, or a cover, something to cover our styrofoam with. And now I'm using Excelsior, or some people may call this Spanish moss, or you can just use regular green moss. That is up to you. It all also depends on what you want to spend. Usually Spanish moss is less expensive, and the natural one is obviously going to be a lot less expensive. Now, some of you may have access to some woods, and you can go out and grab some Spanish moss, so why not? Just make sure it is nice and dry. Leave it out in the sun, spread it out, let it get nice and dry, make sure there's no little bugs in it, etc. that have been living in there, because you don't want the little bug now to come into your home and you've taken him out of nature. So anyway, I do have some woods around here that I can go to and grab that. Now the next thing, of course, most important, are going to be your flowers. Now you can go out and get yourself stems of flowers if you want, but I'm going to recommend that you get yourself some bushes of flowers. And I have some flowers here that I've already purchased, and they're all in bushes. All my greenery is in bushes. Basically, all my elements are in bushes because I just decided that is the most cost-effective for me, and I liked what I saw, so I went ahead and I got that. But I'm going to show you an example. Here is a bush of flowers, and I got these, by the way, at Hobby Lobby. You can purchase them at Michael's, but like I said, you can also go to the Dollar Tree and get yourself some inexpensive flowers. Now here is the bush, and as you can see, it's got quite a bit of stems on there. So that is what I'm going to use. I'm just going to cut them off the bush because I always do, and I always cut them at the longest point. And now I've got some greenery here. This is what I mean by greenery. Fillers would be a smaller flower because this is going to be my focal flower. And that is the other thing that I wanted to talk about with perspective in your flowers. You are going to pick a flower that you like, that is your focal flower, and then you're going to pick some, some fillers, which could be a smaller flower, maybe some little berries or some little grasses, and then of course you have your greenery. All right, well, let's go ahead and get on with our arrangement. All right, well, today I will be creating a horizontal, or what I like to call a swag floral arrangement. As you saw in the introduction, you saw all the tools that are needed. Also included in that is a mini glue gun, or just a regular glue gun with glue sticks. I don't believe I mentioned that in there, so I'm going to go ahead and tell you that now. Also, a word of warning, there will be a lot of talking. Yes, a lot of talking. I like to do instructional videos, not look at me, look what I can do videos. So my instructional videos will have a lot of talking because I like to give a lot of detail on what I'm doing or what you can do in case you cannot do what I'm doing, or if you don't have the supplies of what I'm showing you, I am letting you know what you can use in place. That is my instructions in my instructional videos. And for those of you who are enjoying it, thank you very much. And for those of you who are not, I'm sorry. This is my style and this is what I'm going to be doing. All right, having said that, let's get to the arrangement. All right, so this time I'm going to be using a long container such as this. It's kind of a little bit of a bucket. It's got a little bit of a handle here. I got this, in case you're curious, I got this on clearance from Hobby Lobby. I don't remember when I got it, but it was part of their little home decor, and they had it at 40%, and then I ended up getting it. I think I got it at 60 or 80%. I'm not really sure. So take advantage of those clearance sales. A lot of the vases and containers that I will be using, I've had them maybe for years. This one I just happened to have bought this past holiday, but most of the stuff that I'm going to be using, I've had it for years. You can use anything that you already have. Heck, you could even use a coffee can if that's what you have, and make it cute and decorate an arrangement in it. Okay, so we learned how to make round floral arrangements. So this time again, we're going to be making horizontal or swag or long. This can also be kind of a vertical arrangement, and I'm going to show you a couple of ways that you can do this particular arrangement, so I can go ahead and throw in two styles in one video. These are the flowers that I decided to pick for my arrangement. These are my focal flowers. I decided to on these large yellow roses, so I thought they were beautiful. Again, I bought a bush because I felt this was the most economical that I could use for my arrangement. Once again, I got all my flowers and my greenery from Hobby Lobby. You can get them from wherever you want. You can absolutely use Dollar Tree flowers. They are absolutely okay to use. They have some really pretty selections, so go ahead and use those. Also, I got this, and I think this is lavender. I'm not really sure. Those of you who are familiar with lavender, or I don't know, heather, I don't know. Let me know what you think this is. I used to know all my flowers. I don't remember them anymore. Okay, so not only that, but a lot of flowers weren't made into silk flowers when I was doing arrangements, and now I see so many more selections, so many more flowers to choose from. Anyway, I got this. And then I've got some greenery. So I've got this beautiful leaf. It's got a little bit of yellow in it. I thought that went really well with those yellow roses. And just to give it a different little texture, I picked this little grassy bits. See with this little tippy tips on them? They were pretty. I got these all at 50% off. Some of these bushes were, let me see, which was the most expensive? I have one that was $17, so it was half off of that. And let's see. Yeah, these roses were 16 bucks. I got them for $8 and so forth. So in the end, even at half off, that's quite a bit to spend on an arrangement, but I do like to buy quality flowers for arrangements that are going to last me a long time. So that's really up to you what you want to spend. Okay, I've also got some styrofoam that I'm going to use, and some moss that I'm going to use. And then I've got a couple of other little things that I will show you as an alternative of how you can dress this up for the Easter holiday. All right, let's get started. The first thing I like to do is make sure there's no stickers or, you know, anything, labels or such on my container. I also like to make sure that I remove all the labels from my bushes of greenery and flowers and my grasses. And then I like to cut them up from the bush. So I will be cutting everything at the lowest point that I can at the stem so that I can separate them all. And sometimes I don't use them all. Sometimes I have some left over for another product, which I've had left over from the last video you saw. And then maybe in the end, I just do a greenery basket with all of that. So don't be afraid if you didn't use it all. It's okay. You don't have to use it all. And let's get the camera down so you can see what I'm doing. All right, so I'm going to prepare my container by adding some styrofoam right inside my container. The styrofoam does not have to completely fill the inside of your container. It does not have to go all the way up in your container. You can if that's what you want to do. But if you want to save some money, of course, we can do it the way that I'm going to do it, and just place some styrofoam where I feel is needed, which is right in the center, and just tall enough where my stems do not have to be so long to go in there. I want them to be able to be seen up here on the outside, so I don't want to hide them in there, especially if I have short stemmed flowers or greenery. You want to make sure it's at least at a good height. So I'm going to use 2 blocks of styrofoam, and these are 2.5 by 3.5 by 7.8 inch blocks of styrofoam. So I'm actually going to use 2 of these. That's just what I happen to have. You can obviously use a big block of styrofoam if that's what you want to do. I'm just going to add some glue at the bottom of my container. You can use a sticky clay. There's a sticky clay in their floral department that you can use to adhere your styrofoam to the bottom of your container if you don't want to use your glue gun. I just use my glue gun. It's no big deal. I'm basically going to always have some sort of arrangement in this container. So I'm going to put one in there, and that's the space that it takes. As you can see, there's lots of space around it. I'm not going to worry about it because the actual space on the top and on the little bits of sides here is enough to capture all my stems. I'm going to put now some more glue right on top of this piece so I can glue this one in there. That's all I'm doing. Nothing fantastic. Nothing difficult. And there we go, just placing it right on top. So now I have a styrofoam that I can reach, and I can actually insert into the sides and onto the top. Next thing I want to do is I want to cover my styrofoam with some moss. So just spread it out. Again, I'm using these little greenery picks or floral picks. Some people call them U-pins. Call them whatever you like, but this is what it looks like. And I'm going to use that to hold down the moss, and I'm just going to put some on top just to cover the styrofoam. I'm going to be putting a lot of floral in there, so I don't need a lot of moss. But if you didn't have a lot of floral and you're going to make this kind of a, excuse me, that nasty little cough just doesn't want to go away. And if you're going to make a sparse arrangement, then of course make sure that it's covered, but make sure that it's not clumped up, because when you're pushing in your floral stems into your styrofoam, it's going to clog it up and you're not going to be able to push it in. So I'm just going to put some kind of laying on the top here, but I'm going to use my greenery pins to hold this one down, and so forth and so on. Okay, simple as that. Our container is prepared to receive our flowers or greenery, whatever we decide to put in it. All right, put away that. Clean away that. Yes, that's how we clean. Just swipe it off the table. That's why I have a broom. All right, let's go ahead and get started. I am going to do a horizontal, as I said, arrangement. So I'm going to show you. I've got my roses, and I've cut them at their longest point, but I'm not going to be using the height that I have on them. I'm actually going to be cutting them down. So I'm just going to pick a rose, any one. I'm going to choose this one, and I'm going to decide what height I want it. I want it to be about so high for my arrangement. So as you can see, I don't need all of that, but I also do not need a lot of the length here, because I'm not going to be sticking it all the way into my styrofoam. I just need at least a couple of inches to insert into my styrofoam. So here's my flower. My styrofoam starts about this point inside of the container, so 2 inches in. That's where I'm going to cut it. Okay, now normally I like to put some hot glue on my stems and insert them. I'm not going to be doing that this time because I am going to be pulling them out and then showing you another way to do this. So just with my roses, I am going to insert one right in the middle, insert it in 2 inches, and as you saw, I had this bit left over. We're going to be using that, so just put it to the side. Grab your next flower, and what you could do, once you've picked a height, you use that same flower to cut your other stems that same height. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to cut my other flowers at the same height. Some of them might turn out to be just a little bit shorter. That's okay. We just won't push them in as far in. This one's got a leaf way at the bottom where I'm going to be inserting it. So I'll remove that leaf and I'll put it in later. Let me go ahead and cut some more. Right on or about the same height. My little kitty cat is on my counter, so you might hear some little noises. That's because he likes to get on everything, but if I kick him out, he'll be crying and, well, make a lot of noise. Okay, let's continue cutting these. All right, so I'll take my first flower, and I know this is the one because it has a little bit of styrofoam on it. I'm going to put it back right in there into that little hole. Like I said, you can use a glue gun, but I'm not. You can glue them in, or you can choose not to if you decide you want to pull them out later. All right, so all of them are going to be the same height. This is a horizontal arrangement, so I'm just going to separate it a little bit because I do not want my flowers clumped up. I want them a little bit separate. So as you can see here, I'm going to push this one a little bit more this way. And this one probably needs to move a little more centered. There we go. So they're all at the same height. I'm going to do the same with the other flowers, and I'm going to put one between these two but facing forward, and the same over here at the same height. And I'm just going to bend it forward a little bit at the same height. This is almost like the round arrangement that we did before. Just bend it just a little bit. And the same over here. Bend it forward. And this is an odd thing because I happen to have an even number of roses. And normally I have an odd number of roses in a bush. This time an even number. So I kind of have this flower left over. We're going to put it over to the side because this is basically it. Now if I had more roses and this was a longer piece, I'd keep adding more of this along the way. And then of course I'd add more of these between and so forth. And then even one facing outward. You could actually do one like that. So right now this is just a little horizontal arrangement. Everything's at the same height. They're all pretty much flat. And then you could add some greenery if you like. So let's turn it into a swag arrangement. I'm going to take one of these long bits, just trim it a little bit because I don't want it to stick out too far out. And I'm going to just slide it in there and bend it out just a little bit, just so that it's not sticking straight out, because you know, if it was growing out of a pot, it would come out, but then it would just kind of go down a little bit, you know, nature, gravity pulling it down just a little bit. I'm going to trim this one as well. Sometimes you have little pieces like this that you have left over that you don't use. You can save them for another little craft where you might need some little leaves. And I like to do that. Okay, so now I'm going to put one on this side just to spread out my swag. As you can see, bend these flowers down, bend these a little bit more. And now I've got some space here between. I've got some space here in the front, a little bit of space here, and the same on the back. So I'm just going to repeat what I do to the front to the back by adding more greenery. Now this greenery that I put in the front, I don't want it to stick out as far as these, okay? I just want it to stick out a little bit, just like that. The same on the back. And they don't have to be identical looking pieces of greenery, by the way. A little different because, you know, we want it to look as natural as possible. I'm going to take some of these and insert them right between the flowers and just fill. So that's what I'm doing. I'm filling. Excuse me. I keep thinking I'm better and I feel great and I go shopping and run around and then I end up at home again coughing because I'm obviously not quite over it. It's basically, I guess you're off and you're catching even more germs. One right here in the front and just kind of bend it down a little bit so it doesn't stick out so much, and that's it. And I've got some little leftovers. That's okay. Put them over to the side. Now, the greenery that I got from the roses, I can also insert that in there just to add a little more texture to my arrangement. I'm going to add one on this side and one on the other side. And one is kind of facing back, so this one's going to be facing forward a little bit. So I just want you to see, whoops, there we go. I was sticking it into a spot where some of the moss was in the way. So, okay, here we go. This is a simple swag arrangement. This can be placed as a centerpiece on a table because it is not too high, but it might be a little high for when you're sitting there having your meal and you're talking. So you might want to put this over to the side, maybe put it over on your buffet. This could also go on a nice little shelf, maybe on your mantle. If you have a TV up above and then you don't have a lot of space, you can create something like this. Now, again, your container can be anything. It could be something a little bit shorter. It could be a wooden box. It could be anything, a coffee can, as I said. But this is what I chose, and I hope you like this particular style. And as you can see, it was not that difficult to do. Just practice it, move your leaves around, and find a good placement. Don't clutter it too much. There we go. That's it. Okay, so now I'm going to show you another one that's going to be pretty much a vertical arrangement because we're going to go up in height. But this is what I wanted to show you, my horizontal. All right, I've started off with my container empty. I've pulled out all my roses. I could have just pushed them aside and done what I wanted to do to change my arrangement, but I really wanted you to see what it is that I'm doing. So I've gone ahead and I removed everything. I have freshened up the moss in there because as I pulled out some of the stems, some of it got pulled out. So I just freshened it up a little bit. So I'm not gonna lie, I had to do that. So you might have to do that if you recycle something. Okay, so I'm gonna have my roses off to the side. This time I'm gonna start off with this, what I think is lavender. I don't know. Okay, I'm gonna look for the tallest or the longest piece that I have of that because this is now going to become the height of my arrangement, and I'm going to be going vertical on this one. Okay, they all seem to be pretty much the same because they did look pretty much the same on the, so I'm just going to pick one, just one of the stems, and I'm going to put it in there. And I'm looking at the height and I decided, oh, you know what, I want it to be a little bit higher. Okay, so that's where I grab a floral pick, and I showed that in the intro with a little wire on them. What you want to do, let's grab my wire cutter. Sorry, I made a mess and I just didn't organize myself before starting again. Okay, so what you do is you take this little floral pick, wooden pick, up against your stem and try to get at least 2 to 3 inches of stem if you can, if not at least 2. And then of course the wire that it has on there, you're going to wrap it around. Now if you find these floral picks without the wire, just go ahead and use floral wire and cut a piece maybe about 6 or 8 inches long. This one's about 5 inches. I've already measured it before, and it's about 5 inches long. But anyway, go ahead and just wrap it around nice and tight to make sure that you grab that stem onto the wooden pick. Now that's not your final, it's not your finished product. I am going to take some of this floral tape, which I have a brand new roll, and of course they're always hard to start. So let me just tear into it. There we go. All right, so I'm going to get a piece of this floral stem, and I'm just going to leave it on the roll, no big deal. And I pull on it a little bit. You're going to pull on the floral tape to release the adhesive on it. And as you roll it around to cover up all that wire and grab a hold of both of the little sticks, it will be adhering onto itself. And then I just roll it back on up, and then you just pull on it, and that cuts it. And then just press it down, and there you go. You've covered all of that. So now you have a longer stem to work with if what you have is not the height that you want it. So I'm going to choose that particular height. But actually, I just wanted to show you how to use a floral pick. I'm actually going to use the height that the stem actually had because I don't really want it that high. I have a specific place I want to put it, and I don't have a lot of, it's between some shelves in an entertainment center, so I don't have a lot of room in there. It's not at the one at the top, it's somewhere in the middle. So anyway, that's my story. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to place these other bits right next to it and make a wall, if you will, like that. Now I could make this wall right in the middle and then put flowers on each side, put some greenery hanging out, because I want to be able to look at it from both sides. So it doesn't matter where I'm going to place this, on a table maybe, if I want to put it on a dining room table somewhere that we're not always going to be seeing, but I want this flowers on there to make it look beautiful and dress it up, and you're going to be seeing it. Then put them right in the middle and do the same thing as I did when I did the other one. So whatever you do in the front, you do in the back, and of course do something on the side. In my case, this is going to be against a wall. There's going to be a wall. It's going to be on a shelf like this, so we're not going to be seeing the back. In order not to waste any flowers in the back, what I'm going to do, this is my front. I've decided that where I have my little handle settled, that's my front. I'm going to move my stems a little further back, almost at the edge of my styrofoam. If my styrofoam was all the way back here, I could move back all the way, but I'm going to leave some space here to put some greenery so that if we do see it from the side, it gets seen from the side. There's some greenery back here and it doesn't look so plain. Okay, so let's get these as close together as we can because we have a lot of that. And let's go ahead and continue building our wall of beautiful lavender, heather, whatever it is. or whatever flower you chose to use. Maybe some tulips. There we go. Let's keep doing that. Now, depending on how many flowers you have, I'm trying to keep them all pretty much at the same height, as you can see. Depending on how many flowers you have, you will spread this out. Try to keep them as close together. Don't worry about the very far edges, because you can always fill this in with some greenery. And of course, I have my yellow roses, or whatever other flower you chose to use to fill this up with. So here we go. Now, I have a lot of this heather, lavender, whatever it is. So I'm going to use some more right behind it, kind of in between some of them, just to fill it in a bit more, because I do want it to show off quite a bit. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to thicken my wall, if you will, and add more. I think it's looking really lovely, getting all nice and full. And I think I will go, oops, a little leaf got in the way. I can't poke it in. Okay, let's go to the front here. Oops. And let's do the same in the front. I'm just moving some of the moss out of the way, kind of digging a little hole for it, because the moss keeps it from pushing into the styrofoam. Now, if you wanted to, you could fill this up completely and then fill it in with your moss once you're done. I have an extra one that I'm going to put right in the middle in the back. There we go. So now, there, I've created my wall and my height for my vertical. And now I'm going to use these roses that I cut up when I created the horizontal. I'm going to start right in the middle, bend it forward a little bit, and one on each side. I'm using the ones that I feel a little bit longer, like so. We'll keep adding. Now in this case, I want to fill up a little bit more. I'm pushing these a little bit forward. I want to fill up one here and one here. And remember, I did have an extra one that, well, no, here we go. I still have that extra one. Okay, stay over there, extra one. I'm going to add, I thought I only had one left over on the table. I'm going to add this one here. Now, if I was doing these right in the middle, these extra flowers that I'm adding in here, they would go back here. Okay, so I actually have two here. And then, of course, this extra one, which will make up for these three right here, because I do have these two on the sides. So therefore, then I would definitely be using all of them to go all the way around the arrangement. But I'm doing this, so I'm still having a leftover. I'm trying to use the ones that I already used, because they have little bits of styrofoam on them. Okay, so this is a horizontal. And now I'm going to be adding some greenery. And I do have some grasses here that I also got. And I didn't cut them off the bush, because these are always kind of a messy little thing, and I don't know how many I'm going to use, so I am going to just cut as I need them. And I'm going to be, again, like I said, don't push them all the way to the end, because you'll need that little space to put some more items such as greenery and grasses. So I'm just going to fill in behind the heather or lavender or your tulips or whatever other flower you chose to use. Sunflowers. That's another suggestion. They always look beautiful coming straight up out of an arrangement. I'm trying to pick the ones that have this little bit, this little fuzzy bit on the end. So that's why I'm moving them around, trying to choose. And here we go. One more in the back here. So I've got this one here, and then I've got another one here that I've added to the back, just to add a little more to this wall of beautiful little flowers. I could add more. Less is more, but sometimes more is awesome. Okay, we're going to put those to the side, because I am not going to add more. But I am going to add the same greenery bits that I cut to give it length to the sides. And here's where I'm now going to use the side wall of my styrofoam to insert my stems. Remember, because I don't have any more space on my styrofoam on the top. So I'm going, at least not on the sides. That's why I'm using the side wall. So it's okay if your styrofoam does not fill up your container, because then you can push on the sides. That's just what I'm doing. I'm going to add some here in the front as well, like I did before. So I'm going to get, again, 2 nice long pieces. And I'm going to bend them downward. There's one there. I'm not really sure which one I used before, but oh, here's this one is nice and long. On this other side over here between these 2 roses, and just kind of bend it like that. See, let's bend it going this way. It doesn't have to be, you know, perfectly beautiful, but I do not want them exactly because I want it to look a little more natural. So there you go. That's a little bit better. One's kind of bending down, one's kind of bending to the side. And now, of course, I want to fill in the bits here in the front. So I'm going to take some of these to cut between all this yellow from these roses. And just put that right in there. And then I'm going to put some in the back on the sidewall of the styrofoam, just to fill that in so it doesn't look so empty when we look at it from the side. Let me grab this one. I like this one. There we go. And I have some bits left over. And of course, I still have the greenery from the roses, which I'm going to save for something else. I don't need to put it in here. If I didn't have this extra greenery, of course, I could use that. And there you go. I want you to see this is a walled flat. It's going to go on a shelf, but it's going to be flat up against the wall. It could be on an end table on the side of your couch, and you know, the back of it is not going to be seen. So this is what I'm showing you, how to create that. Now, I'd like to show you how to transform this into something for Easter, because this is something pretty that could last for spring, summer. I think it can even go into fall because it does have some beautiful yellow roses. If I wanted, maybe I could pull out a couple of them and put some sunflowers or some other orangey type of greenery instead of this one, just to kind of change it up a little bit, or just embellish it and add some more in there. So let's go ahead and make it Eastery. So I've got some items here, and I got these at the Dollar Tree. I got these egg picks. It is a pack of 4 in there. You can get them any size you want. They have some smaller ones. And you can also get some at Hobby Lobby. They did have some, but these are from the Dollar Tree, and they were only $1, excuse me. And because they are a seasonal item, something that I'm going to be putting in there, but then I'm going to be pulling out, and they're just going to be there for not even a month or so. Actually, probably a little bit more, because I'm going to go ahead and put them on now, and it's going to go through March and into April. So anyway, I'm just trying to remove as much of these stickers as I can. I also got this little bunny. He's a little metal bunny, and I thought he was really cute. Instead of this, you could add a little stuffed animal if you want. This is completely optional. I thought he was really cute, so I picked him up, and I'm going to put him in my arrangement. I've gone ahead and I've made a handmade bow. Excuse me. Again. Now, if you'd like to learn how to make handmade bows, I will put the link down below. It is what the video that I did before starting these floral arrangement classes for you, so that you will learn how to do them, because I said we may be putting bows in our arrangement, and this is one of those situations. And I've also gone ahead and put this bow on a floral pick. So what I did after I've wired it, I took the wire from the bow and then wrapped it around the stick, and of course then covered it with the floral tape. So that is what I have. Sorry, I have a little sticker on my finger there. And I'm going to put this bow on there. So the first thing I'm going to do is find a spot. And I like the side over here. So I'm just going to push it in as far as I can, thanks to that floral pick. Poof it up. And then I'm going to take this long piece of ribbon that I decided to have on the bottom, or as a tail. And I'm going to bring it across there on the bottom and just kind of hook it up here. You could hook it up into one of the flowers, no big deal. Just do that so that the ribbon is kind of flowing through it. And the other one, I just kind of folded it up a little bit, as you can see here. And then just poof up your bow. So it looks great. I'm going to turn it around so I can look at it and poof it up so it doesn't look so squished into my arrangement. And then I'll show you what it looks like. There you go. And see a little bit here. Open that up a little bit. Okay. Now I'm going to decide where I want my little rabbit. And now, in order to make some room for him, and the reason that I also did not hot glue these down is because I wanted to be able to pull out one of the flowers. Now, if you've gone ahead and you've hot glued them up, you can just bend them out of the way, push them out of the way, and then put your little bunny or whatever decoration that you decide that you want to add into it. And that'll be fine. Because I didn't hot glue mine, I'm going to go ahead and pull out one of the flowers. And I like to hot glue them in there, because I want this arrangement to be pretty much a permanent arrangement, and I don't want this tipping over or something. And sometimes when that happens, flowers will get pulled out. And I do have cats, and one of them likes to play with everything, so I don't want him playing at it and then pulling something out. So that's why I hot glue them. But because of in this case, let's say you were creating this just for Easter, then make sure you leave yourself a little space so that you can add your little Easter decoration or your little stuffed bunny right in there. Or if you wanted to place that in there before you add any flowers, just so you know where that's going to go. See, he's just kind of like poking out of there. I just set him in there. I'm not even hot gluing him or anything. I'm going to take my little eggs and I'm just going to tuck them in along with the this tall heather, lavender, whatever it is, because I still haven't decided what it is. I'm sure a lot of you will comment and let me know. And I'm just adding the little eggs, poking them into the styrofoam, or just poking them in. As long as they stay still, they'll be fine. This one's not really sticking in. There we go. I'm going to push this one in a little bit more. But he doesn't want to go in, and I don't want to trim it. There we go. Perfect. And there we go. We've made this into a little Easter arrangement. I've got a little bunny in there. I've got the eggs and a pretty bow. And I can now have this in my home. Now, if I wanted to create this and actually give this as a gift to someone, hot glue everything down except for the Easter decorations, and don't hot glue the bow into it, and let them know that they can pull out these items, these little seasonal items, and they can keep the arrangement for throughout the year. So there you go. There's my arrangement. I hope you enjoyed my tutorial on how to create a horizontal or swag and now a vertical arrangement, and that you've liked my tip on how to make it a seasonal arrangement by adding some holiday ornaments into it. Please leave a nice comment down below, and make sure you give me a big old thumbs up. I'm going to give myself a big old thumbs up, and I hope I didn't do a lot of talking. I did. That's okay. I know I did. All right, so subscribe if you haven't subscribed. And I've got one more floral design video coming up for you next Tuesday. And I think I'm going to continue on with some other floral design, because I do need to make some for the wall. So if some of you would like that, give me a nice comment down below. Do you want to see that? And I'll go ahead and continue. Otherwise, I hope you have enjoyed this. And as always, again, enjoy.